Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Behind the Bulletin, where hidden stories surface and the truth always finds its way into the light. Today, we uncover a revelation so shocking, so unexpected, that it has sent shockwaves through the entire entertainment industry. Junho and Kim Min-ha break their silence. The secret child revelation stuns everyone. What led to this moment? What truth have they been hiding behind closed doors? Stay with us, the story begins right now. The hall was supposed to be filled only with applause, soft music, and the polished glow of the film industry's brightest stars. Yet beneath the glittering chandeliers and the carefully staged smiles, an invisible tension shattered the illusion of normalcy. Junho and Kim Min-ha stood at the center of the stage, side by side. But something in their eyes betrayed a truth no one had expected to surface tonight. For years, rumors had swirled around them, whispers of a bond deeper than acting. Speculations about secret meetings, cryptic exchanges during interviews. But neither Junho nor Min-ha ever confirmed nor denied anything. They kept their silence, building walls so high that even the most relentless tabloids could not climb over them. Until now. Everything began unraveling the moment the host announced a personal statement from the two actors. The crowd murmured, shifting uneasily. Junho's hand tightened ever so slightly at his side. Min-ha's breathing trembled, though her expression remained collected. A storm was brewing under her calm facade, and it was only seconds away from exploding. As the lights dimmed, the audience leaned forward, sensing something monumental about to break. Camera flashes flickered like lightning, illuminating Junho's strained jawline and Min-ha's trembling fingers. They exchanged a single glance, filled with fear, determination, and something far deeper than either of them had ever shown publicly. And Junho stepped up to the microphone. His voice was steady, but every word carried a hidden tremor. "There is something we've kept private for a long time," he began. "Something that no longer belongs in the shadows." A gasp rippled through the hall. Even the host looked stunned, fingers frozen on the cue cards. Min-ha inhaled sharply before joining him, her voice soft but unyielding. "The truth is, we have a child." The world stopped. A wave of shock crashed across the room so fiercely that it felt physical. Several people stood up in disbelief. Others covered their mouths, and cameras flashed like a volley of explosions. Reporters fumbled with their recorders, hands shaking, minds racing to grasp the meaning of the revelation they had just witnessed. A secret child? With whom? When? For how long? The questions erupted simultaneously, a wildfire no one could contain. Junho lifted a hand, trying to steady the chaos, but nothing could calm the storm gathering around them. Min-ha's voice broke the noise. "We kept this hidden, because we were afraid. Not of each other, but of what the industry would do to us, and to our child, if the truth came out." Her words sliced through the room like a blade. The truth was no longer a whisper. It had detonated. Just hours earlier, before stepping onto the stage, the pair had been cornered by rising threats. Someone had leaked fragments of documents, hospital logs, blurred photographs, and cryptic emails, suggesting a hidden connection between the two actors. The rumors had spread faster than wildfire, and soon, a source contacted Junho with a chilling message: "If you don't reveal it, we will." He had rushed to find Min-ha, who was sitting alone backstage, her hands shaking around a water bottle. "No," he told her. "It's only a matter of time." Min-ha closed her eyes, swallowing the fear she had lived with for years. "If they expose it first," she said quietly, "they'll twist the truth into something ugly. Something our child will carry forever." It was then, after all the years of secrecy, fear, and unspoken love, that they made their decision. Not because the world deserved their truth, but because their child deserved a future without shadows. Now, standing before the world, Junho continued, his voice deeper, breaking through the echo of chaos. "We didn't hide this because we were ashamed. We hid it because we wanted to protect the most important part of our lives." The hall was silent again, this time not with shock, but with a heavy, suffocating anticipation. Junho's eyes glistened as he glanced at Min-ha, who stood rigid beside him, her composure cracking under the weight of the moment. "But the threats, the pressure," she whispered. "We can't keep pretending nothing exists. Child deserves the truth, even if it destroys us." Gasps echoed again. Some people cried. Others trembled. No one could believe they were witnessing such a raw confession from two of the industry's most private stars. But the revelation wasn't over. Because behind Junho and Minha's bravery, a darker truth lurked, one that involved hidden contracts, dangerous ultimatums, and people who wanted this secret buried forever. And now that the truth was out, those people were already moving. The battle had only just begun. The silence following their confession felt heavier than the applause that had filled the hall minutes earlier. It pressed against walls, deep into the crowd, and wrapped around Junho and Minha like an invisible chain. Reporters jolted from the shock, scrambling to their feet as questions erupted in every direction, overlapping in a chaotic storm of disbelief and desperation. But Junho didn't flinch. This storm would come. He had felt it brewing for years. Minha, however, trembled. Not because she was afraid of the truth, but because she sensed the shadow that loomed just beyond the curtains. Someone was watching. Someone who didn't want this confession to exist. As the lights blazed hotter, Junho held the microphone tighter. "There's more you need to know," he said, his voice low but sharp enough to slice through the frenzy. The crowd quieted. Not out of courtesy but out of instinct. They felt something darker lurking beneath his words. "Years ago," he continued, "when we learned about our child, we were given a choice." Ha swallowed hard. Her eyes shimmered, not with tears but with the memory of a threat so terrifying it had reshaped their lives. "We were told," she whispered, "that going public would end our careers. Not just ours, but also endanger the people closest to us." Gasps rippled across the audience. Several journalists exchanged confused glances, unsure whether they had stumbled into a scandal or a war. Before Junho could speak again, a sudden crackling noise echoed from backstage. The speakers hissed. The lights flickered. For a moment, the entire hall plunged into chilling half-darkness. Minha instinctively reached for Junho's arm. Someone was interfering. Someone didn't want this truth to continue. A figure appeared at the edge of the stage, silhouetted, motionless, radiating a cold authority that drew every eye in the room. Junho stiffened immediately. Minha's breath hitched. He recognized the posture, the calculated stillness, the silent warning. It was the same person who had force-fed them silence for years. Manager, the one who had orchestrated the threats, manipulated the press, concealed the child's existence with contracts written in the language of fear. The figure stepped forward slowly, each footstep echoing like a countdown. "Enough," he said, his voice amplified without a microphone. "This ends now." Cameras swung toward him. Reporters gasped, sensing a confrontation far bigger than anything they had anticipated. Junho moved instinctively, himself in front of Minha. "We're not going back," he said. "Not this time." The manager sneered. "Do you think the audience will stand behind you? Do you think your careers will survive this circus? One push from me and everything you've built collapses." Minha's voice trembled, but she stepped forward anyway. "You can't control the truth anymore." "But I can," he replied, pulling out his phone. With a swipe, projected something onto the screen behind them. The crowd gasped again as images, private emails, little appointments, blurred photos, exploded across the display. The manager smirked. "All of this will be public within seconds. You want the truth? Here it is. Ugly, twisted, unforgiving." Minha nearly collapsed, but Junho caught her, arm wrapping around her shoulders with fierce protectiveness. He glared at the manager with a resolve the man had never seen before. "You won't destroy us," Junho said. "Not anymore." The manager raised an eyebrow. "You really believe that?" But before the confrontation could escalate, something unexpected happened. Applause. Soft at first, then louder, then erupting into a thunderous wave that shook the hall. People stood. Journalists dropped their cameras. Fans watching the live stream typed messages faster than the chat could handle. They weren't condemning Junho and Minha. They were supporting them, protecting them. The manager froze, stunned. This wasn't the reaction he had predicted. His threats, once powerful enough to silence two of the industry's brightest stars, suddenly felt small, outdated, broken. And then Junho turned back to the microphone. "Child," he said, voice steady, "deserves parents who aren't afraid. Deserves a life without shadows. Today, we choose that life, and we will not apologize for it." Minha lifted her head, eyes burning with strength. We're done living in fear. And whoever tries to take our truth away, will fail. The manager stepped back, his power dissolving under the roar of the crowd. His plan was collapsing in real time. The truth had won. Reporters surged forward with tears in their eyes. Fans screamed messages of love. The hall vibrated with an energy neither Junho nor Minho had ever felt before, freedom. They held hands openly now. No hesitation. No shame. Only relief. Because after years of silence, after fear, threats, and isolation, the truth was no longer a secret. It is a victory. And as they left the stage together, the world knew one undeniable fact. The story, hidden for so long, had finally begun. As they stepped away from the blinding lights and the erupting applause, Junho and Kim Min-ha felt a weight lift from their shoulders, a weight they had carried alone for far too long. The truth, once a dangerous secret locked behind trembling lips and fearful nights, now belonged to the world. But instead of breaking them, it set them free. Their story would no longer be shaped by threats, whispered rumors, or shadows cast by others. It would be theirs, open, honest, and unafraid. Hand in hand, they walked into the unknown. Not as two people hiding from their past, but as parents, partners, and survivors of a battle they had finally chosen to end. The world might question, analyze, and debate. Courage they showed tonight would echo far beyond the stage. Their truth had risen, stronger than fear, or than silence. Thank you to everyone who stayed with us through every twist, every revelation, and every moment of this unforgettable journey. Support, your curiosity, and your willingness to listen make every story worth telling. Deeply appreciate your time, your trust, and your presence. Stay with us, because more stories, more truths, and more extraordinary moments are still waiting to unfold.